A terrifying virus sweeps across the globe, infecting humanity, and all plants wither away. Due to the drastic reduction in vegetation, the oxygen levels on Earth decline rapidly, and the ecosystem is on the verge of destruction. However, people still have a chance to survive, as archaeologists discovered extraterrestrial artifacts in a Kenyan cave. One is a white sphere, and the other is a spatial engine. They have a history of over 4 billion years, presumably left behind by an ancient advanced civilization. After scientists study these two artifacts, they perfectly recreate the replicas, which are identical to the original versions. This pirated engine enables spaceships to perform space jumps, instantly traveling beyond the solar system. As for the complex white sphere, we currently see 2 of them. The one on the right is the original white sphere, while the one on the left has a futuristic aesthetic and is the pirated version. Scientific research has revealed that this white sphere is actually used to terraform planets and create life. 4 billion years ago, it was instrumental in the formation of life on Earth. It possesses thousands of functionalities, but we only know how to utilize the default function. The default function is to transform the environment into an Earth-like one and create life, and this function is sufficient for our usage. People install the pirated engine on a spaceship, and they place the pirated white sphere inside the spacecraft. The spaceship will travel hundreds of light years away to a distant Earth-like planet, where they plan to use the pirated white sphere to terraform it into Earth-2.0 for colonization purposes. The original white sphere remains on Earth for further research. The protagonist, Steve, is an outstanding astronaut, while his wife is a scientist studying the original white sphere. Several years ago, Steve found a fragment of the white sphere near the original one, which he gave to his wife as a bracelet. This white sphere fragment becomes an important foreshadowing element. Now, Steve's spaceship successfully launches into space, accompanied by many other astronauts. Each person has their own responsibilities. They successfully activate the pirated engine, enter the space jump mode, and venture into the outer space hundreds of light years away. After the astronauts regain their composure, their first reaction was to check the star chart to confirm their coordinates. However, they were collectively shocked, as the spaceship had not arrived at the intended destination, and the blue planet before them was not the one they had expected. Everyone blamed the pilot, convinced that he had made a mistake. Feeling unjustly accused, the pilot, in order to prove his innocence, went alone to inspect the engine. However, when people encountered him again after some time, to their surprise, he had become a lifeless body. It turned out that shortly after the spacecraft took off, a crack appeared in the pirated white sphere, and from within the sphere emerged a bizarre creature. The creature killed the pilot. Now, the monster remains hidden within the spaceship, yet people remain completely unaware, as they are preoccupied with figuring out how to complete their mission. Some teammates analyze the blue planet before them and find similarities to Earth. If they activate the pirated white sphere on the blue planet, perhaps they can transform it into Earth 2.0. This would be another way to fulfill their mission. They decide to give it a try. They detach a small spacecraft from the main ship. The small spacecraft heads directly toward the target planet. The planet has erratic weather patterns, and suddenly a powerful thunderstorm materializes in the sky. The sudden onslaught of the thunderstorm causes great distress among the crew. They can only resort to a rough landing maneuver. Fortunately, everyone emerges unharmed. However, the small spacecraft crashes and becomes inoperable, leaving them unable to take off. They have no choice but to use the spaceship as a land-based facility, but this doesn't hinder their planet transformation plan. They manually move the pirated white sphere without any tools, and successfully place it inside a canyon cave, where they initiate the activation process. The reason for choosing a cave as the activation point is that the pirated white sphere requires a prolonged operation, and the cave provides natural protection. Now, let's pause to compare the images. On the left is the canyon cave, where they placed the pirated white sphere, while on the right is the canyon cave, where archaeologists initially discovered the original white sphere. These two locations have similar heights, and the canyons are almost the same. Could it be that the pirated white sphere and the original white sphere are the same sphere? Now, the white sphere continues to emit a blue light, indicating that it is functioning correctly. By keeping it operational, they can transform this place into Earth. Everyone safely retreats to the small spacecraft and announces the successful completion of their mission. However, things are not as simple as they seem. The astronauts check the spaceship's surveillance footage, and they first discover the existence of the monster. They then uncover the reason behind the initial spatial jump failure of the spacecraft. The spatial jump went wrong because the monster had tampered with the spaceship settings. This creature has the ability to hack into electronic devices. It is not a biological monster, but a mechanical one. the team tracks the monster's movements using high-tech devices and discovers that after killing the pilot, it stealthily returned inside the white sphere. So, when they left the white sphere in the cave earlier, the monster stayed there as well. Everyone is afraid that the monster might tamper with the white sphere's settings again, which would cause significant trouble. They quickly detect the pirated white sphere and discover that its operating mode has changed. Instead of using blue light to improve the environment, it now uses red light to deteriorate it. It seems the monster has completed its actions. Two members of the main team return to the cave in an attempt to revert the white sphere back to its original state, but they are unsuccessful. The monster becomes aware of their approach. One person still intends to modify the white sphere's settings, while the other is prepared to destroy it. The latter person shoots at the white sphere, but the white sphere is not completely damaged. Only a fragment is knocked off. Both individuals watch as the monster gets closer and closer to them. They pick up the fragment of the white sphere and flee for their lives. Fortunately, luck is on their side, and they manage to safely escape back to the small spacecraft. However, the monster follows them all the way to the vicinity of the small spacecraft, and it attempts to break into the weakest part of the ship's hull. They have no choice but to engage in a battle with the monster. After a fierce battle, the team manages to drive it away. However, it infects one of the team members with its attack. After conducting a thorough analysis of the infected team member's condition, Steve discovers that the infection will eventually lead to the loss of their life. But the good news is that the bacteria causing the infection have a powerful self-defense mechanism. After studying the self-defense mechanism, Steve develops a formula. This formula can create a super vaccine to cure the rampant virus on Earth. Earth now has a way to recover and thrive. With a joyful heart, Steve continues his research. Steve looks at the fragment of the white sphere that has been brought back and finds it eerily familiar. It resembles the bracelet he had given to his wife. The two fragments seem to be parts of the same object. But how is that possible? His wife's bracelet was something Steve found on Earth, and now this fragment is located hundreds of light years away on an alien planet. At that moment, a groundbreaking hypothesis pops into Steve's mind. Perhaps he's not actually on an alien planet hundreds of light years away, but rather back on Earth. He asks his teammates to re-examine the spaceship's jump records, and the results of the investigation leave them astonished. They had intended to perform a spatial jump, but after the monster secretly tampered with the system, they may not have traveled as far as they thought. They decide to perform a time jump, which means they are still on Earth, but they have traveled back for billion years, a time when life had not yet emerged on Earth. The truth behind the events becomes clear. The chronological sequence of the entire story is actually as follows. For 9 billion years ago, an advanced extraterrestrial civilization wanted to transform Earth into an alien biosphere. To achieve this, they sent the prototype white sphere to Earth. According to their plan, the white sphere was supposed to emit red light to transform Earth into an alien environment. However, due to some technical issues, the prototype white sphere malfunctioned and emitted blue light instead. This accidental occurrence led to the development of Earth's environment and the emergence of life. The birth of humanity was actually an unintended consequence. Fast forward 9 billion years, humans are born, and archaeologists discover the white sphere in a Kenyan cave. They use it as a blueprint to create a replica white sphere, and that leads to the continuation of the story depicted in the film. The protagonists board the spaceship, taking the replica white sphere, and they travel through time and space to this ancient Earth, and they leave the replica white sphere in the Kenyan cave. Another 4 billion years pass, and humanity is born once again. At that time, archaeologists revisit the same cave, and they discover the replica white sphere that has traversed time and space. In their eyes, it appears to be the original white sphere. They, once again, use this so-called original white sphere as a blueprint to create a new replica white sphere, and the cycle continues as the new replica white sphere travels back for billion years, awaiting discovery. The discoverers will once again consider it as the so-called original white sphere and continue replicating it. This original white sphere and the replica white spheres are actually the same entity. Now, the fragment of the white sphere in Steve's hands is destined to remain for 4 billion years until it reaches his wife. This means that the white sphere fragment is a means of communication that can transcend 4 billion years. Through it, Steve can contact his wife in the distant future 4 billion years from now. Steve understands everything clearly, and he engraves an important message on the fragment of the white sphere. He hopes that his wife will discover this engraved message after 4 billion years. Later, their infected teammate starts going mad, and the monster breaks into the small spacecraft, attacking the crew. The monster kills the infected teammate, and shortly after, the small spacecraft explodes, killing the monster in the process. Steve manages to escape. Steve's mission is complete, and he reconfigures the settings of the white sphere to ensure its proper functioning. All he can do now is pray, hoping that his wife will discover the engraved message on the fragment of the white sphere after 4 billion years. In the timeline 4 billion years later, his wife discovers the engraved message on the fragment by chance. The message actually contains a method for her to have a meeting with Steve across the 4 billion year time gap. Through this method, his wife manages to meet Steve from 4 billion years ago. Though they cannot physically touch each other, they can communicate. Steve shares the specific formula for the vaccine with his wife. Afterward, Steve dies alone in the setting 4 billion years ago, while his wife follows his formula and creates the vaccine. Earth once again flourishes with life. Overall, the film has some dragging moments in the middle, and the pacing could have been faster. The sci-fi scenes are impressive, and the special effects are well executed. However, the script lacks coherence, and the character development is insufficient. The story incorporates many elements, creating a journey of interstellar time travel. You gave birth to me, and I recreate you. The film as a whole exudes a sense of lonely romance in the universe. Alright, until next time.